So I was living in New York City. I was a stand-up comedian, and I was living there. I was there for 4 years, and suddenly my dad passed away. So I went back to Ohio, where I'm from, and I realized that Mom was sicker than I thought. And actually, she'd been looking after Dad. And you know the caregiver story, when one person looks after the other and they pass away. It seems like they fall apart overnight. But she really had been lending her life force and giving everything to Dad. So I thought, oh, I think I better stick around for a little while. And frankly, New York, 4 years of it's quite enough. And so, but my plan was to stay a month. Well, if you know the caregiver story, a month turned into 6 months, turned into a year, turned into 7 years. I was Mom's caregiver. And I don't regret it at all. I don't. I try not to whitewash the experience, but what really got us through it was her optimism, her sense of humor, and Scrabble. A lot of Scrabble. I don't know if you realize that Scrabble is an 8-letter word for no mercy. Oh, it was bloodlust. You would know we're your mother and daughter. One of us is behind, is starting to catch up. We go, well, I'm catching up with you. Can you feel my sweet breath on your neck? It was almost like a contest. We go, yeah, I feel your breath on my neck. I feel your hot, putrid, vile, halitosis breath on my neck. Then we try to see how many adjectives we could add. One time Mom says, yes, I feel your breath on my neck. I feel your hot, putrid, vile, halitosis, acidosis, expialidocious breath on my neck. What does that even mean? Oh, we cracked ourselves up. One time I was driven down to H&R Block to get her taxes done. I figured it'd take about an hour. I said, well, when you're ready, call me. I'll come get you. So about an hour later, the phone rang. I picked it up. I said, I feel your hot, putrid, vile, halitosis, acidosis, expialidocious breath on my phone. There's a little pause. The man says, yes, this is H&R Block. Your mother's ready to be picked up. Just waiting for the call from Elder Services. Yes, you ever reported calling a sweet elderly woman expialidocious breath? But I'd been back from Ohio a couple of months, and I realized that I never, in the flurry of everything, heard the whole story of what happened the day Dad passed. I said, Mom, what happened that day? She said, well, your daddy got an early morning phone call, and when I went to go get him, I realized he was gone. I said, oh, Mom. I said, what'd you tell the people on the phone? She said, I told him, I'm so sorry, he can't come to the phone right now. And then she took a message. Well, we started laughing. I'm telling you, we must have laughed for 30 minutes. We're slapping our thighs. You tell us it's going to be long distance? We must have laughed and laughed and laughed. And laughter and tears are very close. If you cry, we laugh and cry. Now, I had not seen my mother laugh in 2 months. Now, was her grief process over? Of course not. Mom lived another 7 years, and she never got over the death of Dad. It was her soulmate. They were married just 8 months shy of 50 years, for heaven's sakes. But she was able to step back from the worst day of her entire life and see a little bit of incongruity and find some humor. That's what it is. Tragedy plus time equals humor. Humor is a gift. And when we get those little gifts of laughter, we have to accept them as that. And I don't think we should laugh our way through the grief process, because you'd be stepping over quite a few processes. But when those little gifts come up, we have to take them and run with them. And since I've told my story, other people have told theirs. Here's one of the better ones I've heard. Lady came up to me. She seemed about my age, and she said, oh, my dad passed away recently. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. She said, oh, well, Mom and Dad were retired living in Florida, and Dad always wanted to have his ashes scattered over his favorite fishing pier. I said, oh, that's nice. She said, well, we all got out on the pier, and Mom had the urn, and my brother and I are there with our families, and we all said a prayer, a few words about Dad. And Mom took the urn, and she said, my darling, I want you to spend all of eternity in the place you love the best. She threw out the ashes. The wind caught them. They landed right back in her lap. She's dancing around. Get off of me! Get off of me! And the brother's like, some things never change.